Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're delving into a topic that hits home for many, feeling mad about being estranged. Let's unpack these intense emotions together. Hi, I'm Marie Morin. I'm a therapist and a wellness coach. Let's get started. Let's acknowledge the anger. So a very important thing to do when you're experiencing estrangement is to identify what the feeling is. If you're mad, you're angry, identify it. You know that's a part of your experience. It's common, it's a valid emotion, and it's a very common response to the complexity of estrangement. But what's the source of anger? We're going to explore why people might feel angry about being estranged. One of the things that we need to understand about anger is that feelings such as fear or sadness can be under the anger. Okay, so fear includes things like when we're anxious, what is the future going to hold? What's going to happen? Will they ever want to be back in my life? Or if you're the one that's chosen to not be in that relationship, is do I have to see them again? How come they're still contacting me? Things like this. So when we have worry and anxiety and sadness that comes from the experience of the loss, disappointment, or discouragement, these are part of the natural angry experience. So, what about the triggers and underlying causes of this intense emotion? So, triggers can be holidays. When there are holidays and you want your loved one to be around and yet they don't want to be around you, or vice versa, you have to be somewhere where you don't want that other person to be, you could be feeling angry. And these are very common experiences. You could be upset about the fact that you have to be around this person or you're not going to be around this person. You can be upset and angry over the fact that they did what they did. So this is all very, very real and part of what happens when one is estranged. It's part of the grieving process. Triggers besides holidays can be things like somebody's birthday. It could be seeing other family members get together and your family member isn't there. It could be a friend who seems to have their life completely together and yet yours is basically not intact. Okay, so what about the emotional impact? We need to process the emotion. What does that mean? We need to allow ourselves to feel it and be okay with the fact that we're feeling. What does that mean? It means that we're not avoiding it, running from it. Perhaps we're journaling or we're talking to someone that's trusted and we're processing it. We're like making sense of it. Also, you can feel emotions within your body. For example, some people get feelings in their throat or their chest, or they get headaches, or they get sweaty. All different somatic responses. So processing those emotions, understanding that we feel emotions in our body is extremely important. You're going to want to watch my video, Your Physical Well-Being While Dealing with Estrangement. That will really be helpful. So what are some of the coping mechanisms when you're feeling angry? Find healthy outlets. For example, if you find yourself very angry about something, or you kind of think you're angry but you're not allowing yourself to feel it, you may want to join some type of a class that requires you to do some really intense physical activity. For example, kickboxing or getting a punching bag. It's a good idea to let those feelings out. What about creative activities? Sometimes it takes things that get our space situated where we're being creative in order for us to just stop and pause and let ourselves feel and think and contemplate. You can choose to either do a creative activity or to exercise. Another coping mechanism would be to share personal experiences or success stories of transforming anger into something positive. What does this mean? So You can remember and recall times where you were angry and you were able to get yourself to a place of more understanding where you were transforming the anger. You were processing it and it wasn't having its hold on you. Also, seeking support is an excellent coping mechanism. Having somebody in your corner that you could talk to that you know will be there just for you in a non-judgmental way. There are good therapists out there that you can contact to get this kind of help from. An estrangement coach can help you with that. You want to be able to reach out to friends that you can talk to, join a support group, or as we said, find a therapist or an estrangement coach. You also want to think about being around people who have gone through this. So that would be a shared community. You might have friends that you know that have had this similar situation, and having somebody to talk to who has also been through this terrible ordeal can be a real help to you. So when we navigate the complexity of our emotions, and this particular one being mad, being angry, one is to think about the thought of acceptance. So we're really talking about grief here, okay? It's a grief experience, and we know that going through the stages of grief, they're not linear. You can go in and out of one and the other, and you go through places through the acceptance. I talk about it as the acceptance train. What does that mean? Well, I think that there's stages within the acceptance. You get more and more accepting in time. So get to that. Think about it and every day say, I'm doing the best I can towards accepting the situation. Why? Because it's kind of where you need to get to. It's a goal for yourself. I want to be more accepting. The argument within yourself of just being stuck in all the emotions of being angry about what they did, what they didn't do, will really settle and fester within you. That's why it's so important to process and also get to a place of acceptance. You also want to validate your own feelings without judgment. What does this mean? You're not going to say to yourself, I can't believe I'm angry. I shouldn't be angry. After all, there was this, there was that. Or saying you're angry and then feeling guilty about being angry because you're not supposed to be angry with this particular person because they're a family member. So that's being very judgmental on yourself. Not a good idea. You also want to understand that acceptance, okay? I've said this just a moment ago, but again, acceptance is a crucial step in the healing process. It's okay if you're not there now, but it is a place to look to. And then think about expectations. Look, we have all of these expectations for ourselves and for our family members. And in this paradigm and this mess we call estrangement, we know that at least 27% of the population in the United States is cut off from one or more family members, and the average length is 4.5 years. This is a difficult place, and everyone has their own experience. Being angry doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. This is a normal piece of the grieving experience. So you'll want to recognize that within yourself. What are you expecting? Are you expecting yourself to be so strong? No, it's okay to be broken up about it. I mean, it's a normal thing. Are you expecting the other person all of a sudden to now be in step with wanting to be back with you? This can be extremely difficult. So check your expectations and be reasonable, knowing that it takes time. There's a degree of patience that you want to have. You want to watch my video, How to Deal with Family Expectations When You're Estranged. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. The expectation for you to do things, for them to do things, it can really make a mess and make it difficult for you if you're not informed. You also want to know that The journey to healing begins with self-compassion. If you've been watching any of my videos, you know I say this often. The idea is that you look at yourself with more compassion than you do criticalness. It's also helpful to look at others in that same way. Self-compassion is how we get to healing, because we're not judging ourselves, we're not angry with ourselves, because let's face it, some of you are angry with yourselves. Some of you are angry with your loved one, and you're angry with yourself. Gosh, that's a big burden to hold. But the self-compassion will soften this whole thing, and you take it one day at a time to move through. If you're not feeling so compassionate today, believe by faith, I'm working on being more compassionate. I purpose today to be compassionate with myself. You also want to be kind to yourself during this challenging time. It's okay to have moments where you're really having a tough go, and then you see the next day you're feeling better, and then maybe a couple of days in a row, and then boom, it hits again. That's okay. Don't judge yourself. This is part of this condition. You know, you have a lot of growth and resilience within you. If you recount all of the difficult things that you've had happen to you in your life, you can say, wow, that was really challenging and I got through that. Well, you can get through this. Does that mean your outcome of wanting to be reunited with your family member or wanting them permanently, like to leave you alone, that you're going to get that? No, not necessarily. But it does mean that whatever the circumstances are, and right, there's a lot of uncertainty, you can get through as you have before. Look at yourself honestly and say, wow, I have been okay in other challenging situations. You want to see yourself as stronger. There are people that I know that I have worked with, and it was extremely challenging, and there was a lot of suffering and hurt, a lot of anger. For some, a lot of guilt and anger, like back and forth, this kind of like story of being barraged by all of these strong emotions. And guess what? In time, learning skills like how to communicate with each other, how to take care of yourself, how to get stronger, being informed, they were able to do the work necessary to go towards repairing a relationship. Let's talk about how feeling mad about being estranged is natural. It's okay to seek help. Healthy coping mechanisms are absolutely essential. And if you've experienced anger, tell me what you think in the description box below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and subscribe so you can get more content on navigating complex emotions and estrangement. Remember, you're not alone. We're here for you, and we'll see you in the next video.